Today we continue with part 2, where nationalism spread after the Cold War. If you haven't watched it yet, check out my last video. In the last episode, the Sovereign Allegiance Pact aggressively expanded, leading to the formation of EUFORS, an alliance of Western European countries intended to counterbalance the Allegiance Pact. Poland, which established itself as a leading power in Central Europe after the end of the Cold War, is actively working to bind its vassal states even closer to itself. Through economic incentives and political negotiations, Poland succeeds in bringing Ukraine, Lithuania, and Belarus into a loose confederation under Polish leadership. However, this is done only to satisfy the international stage that these countries joined voluntarily. The reality is quite different, with mass demonstrations erupting in Kiev and Minsk, which were violently suppressed by the Polish government. This union of Central European states and the Pan-Slavic Union aims to expand Poland's sphere of influence. The war has severely damaged Romania financially and economically, bringing the country to the brink of bankruptcy. Bulgaria takes advantage of the situation as the nationalist government of Bulgaria, which seeks territorial expansion, skillfully negotiates with Romania and acquires territories in Dobruja through the Treaty of Sofia, signed on July 15, 1989. This move caused great dissatisfaction among the Romanian population and strains the relation between the two countries once again. The previously united Allegiance Pact began to show cracks, as the various territorial claims overlap and the goals of the different governments diverge more and more. After Russia's unsuccessful attempts in recent years to improve relations with West and the EUFORS, the Russian leadership felt increasingly isolated and disappointed. The Western states ignored these efforts, which heightened Moscow's sense of betrayal. In this atmosphere of disappointment and mistrust, Russia began to rethink its foreign policy. Between August 24 and August 28, secret negotiations took place between Russia and the Sovereign Allegiance Pact. The Allegiance Pact, seeking to expand its own power and influence, saw Russia as a valuable ally. Negotiations proceed quickly and purposefully. Russia officially joined the alliance and consequently received the entire territory of the Crimean state. Furthermore, Russia is the first country in the Allegiance Pact to possess nuclear weapons. This is a significant step for the Allied states, as it can now more quickly complete their own nuclear weapon programs, ensuring they are not inferior to EUFORS in terms of nuclear capability. Confronted with the increasingly aggressive ambitions of the Allegiance Pact and nuclear weapon development, EUFORS reacted with determination. A crisis meeting was held on August 29 in Strasbourg to assess the impending threats and take appropriate measures. The participants of the crisis meeting agreed on a series of security measures to combat the looming threats. First of all, a decision was made to boost the military presence at the border of EUFORS member countries to deter potential aggressions and bolster defense readiness. Intelligence activities were intensified to closely monitor the actions of the Sovereign Allegiance Pact and enabling early response to threats. Lastly, the cooperation among EUFORS member countries was strengthened, including joint military exercises, intelligence sharing, and coordinated security measures. The Baltic countries significantly increased their troop presence to effectively counter potential threats. Additional troops were stationed in the Baltic states to strengthen defensive lines and ensure rapid response capability. The situation continued to escalate. When a Russian reconnaissance plane was shot down by Latvian forces, it led to a war between EUFORS and the Allegiance Pact. The conflict began with border skirmishes but quickly intensified, as both sides mobilized their forces and transitioned to large-scale military operations. However, both alliances initially refrained from using nuclear weapons. The Baltic states became the first casualties of the war, surrounded by enemies on all sides. Despite large-scale troop reinforcements, the situation only improved by a bit. Efforts are focused on evacuating as many troops and civilians as possible, making every meter that the Russians and Poles capture costly for them. Despite their strong resistance, they are overwhelmed and occupied by the superior forces of the Legion's Pact. As a result, Latvia is largely annexed by Lithuania, though indirectly, as Lithuania is controlled by Poland. The annexation of the remaining Baltic states by Russia marked the final chapter of Baltic independence. Nonetheless, a last glimmer of hope persisted. A determined offensive by U-Force aimed at securing the region's independence and pushing back the occupiers. Large-scale air operations were also launched in the occupied Baltic territories to demonstrate to Russia and the PSU that the Baltics were not theirs. Now U-Force aimed to connect Greece with the remaining forces in Central Europe to secure the Balkan front and focus on further advances. Initially, this plan seemed to work, with parts of Croatia and Bosnia being liberated and placed under civilian administration. Additionally, the Bosniaks joined them, exerting even more pressure on Serbia. However, U-Force's success in the Balkan was short-lived, as a majority of the European army was concentrated in this region. This led to a weakening of the border with East Germany, enabling the Legion's Pact to undertake the first major occupations of German territories. The constant presence of Russian troops at the Georgian border, the regions of Abkhazia and South Ossetia, led to growing concern and distress in Georgia. Faced with these challenges, Georgia sought protection and support from U-Force to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. So U-Force planned to station troops there and build up a defensive line amongst the Russian border. But soon, the Russian intelligence service discovered this troop buildup and prepared a large-scale invasion into Georgia, which led to swift and devastating chaos in the Caucasus. Violence erupted rapidly, plunging the region into turmoil. Armenia joined the conflict to support its longtime ally Russia, and simultaneously seized the opportunity to defeat its greatest enemy, Azerbaijan. Within just 10 days, Georgia and Azerbaijan were overrun and defeated by Russia and Armenian forces. The attack of strategic superiority and inadequate defense of both countries led to rapid collapse of the military and government. The borders of the Caucasus were redrawn, with Russia controlling most of it indirectly. The majority of U-Force's troops are engaged in the Balkans. Meanwhile, a major offensive by the Legion's Pact is launched across all of Europe. West Germany, Austria and Slovenia overrun. The swift conquest of these areas, the Legion's Pact shocked European allies and significantly weakened U-Force's position. The offensive brought the Legion's Pact one step closer to its goal of unifying all German territories. The loss of key territories posed significant challenges for the U-Force. The alliance had to act quickly to secure the remaining territories, adapt its defense strategies, and force new allies to contain the advance of the Legion's Pact. The Legion's Pact forces in Greece faced limited progress through the challenging terrain, prompting Turkey to admit it as a new ally. They see it as an opportunity to re-establish a presence in the Balkans. Greece capitulates as the first country, signaling an end to the war. However, U-Force's desperate decisions to use nuclear warheads triggered an unimaginable wave of outrage and dismay, both within Europe and worldwide. The escalation of the conflict to nuclear levels heightened tensions, and led to an immediate halt in all potential support, and talks regained joining the alliance from the USA and the UK. The nuclear missiles struck key cities in Poland, Germany and Russia, causing unimaginable suffering and destruction. The consequences were devastating, resulting in an enormous number of casualties and destruction of infrastructure and livelihoods. Despite the catastrophic use of nuclear weapons, U-Force was unable to hold the advance of the Legion's Pact. U-Force's forces were pushed back and suffered heavy losses, while the Legion's Pact continued to gain ground and solidify its position. With Italy's capitulation, only France remained as the last member of U-Force. Faced with this hopeless situation and ongoing loss, the French forces also realized that continuing the war was useless. On the 25th of May 2006, the devastating conflict finally came to an end. The hostilities were officially halted, and Europe stood amidst the ruins of a long and devastating confrontation that had claimed countless lives and caused immeasurable suffering. Borders within Europe are once again organized. Germany seized the opportunity in the unstable post-war situation to expand massively. Reunification occurred, but under the rule of a regime that pursued aggressively nationalist and expansionist goals. The last portion of the Sudetenland was annexed from the vassal of the Czech state. This area was predominantly populated by Germans. Similarly, German-speaking part of South Tyrol was claimed. With regard to the west, Alsace-Lorraine once again became part of Germany, leading to the forcible expulsion of the French population through settlement with Germans. Luxembourg and Normandy also fell into German hands. The two remaining Benelux states, Belgium and the Netherlands, came under shared administration between Poland and Germany. Despite the formal shared administration, Poland exerted great influence and control over Belgium and the Netherlands. In France, a portion near the German border is occupied attentively to secure resources and weaken the country. Additionally, France is forcefully neutral, and all its nuclear weapons must be destroyed. However, the government secretly works to break free from these constraints and seek revenge on its enemies. Italy is forced into a regime change, installing a nationalist government, allying closely with Germany and Poland. To appease the new government, Corsica is handed over to Italy. Hungary largely restored its old kingdom, incorporating the Burgenland from Austria, leaving Slovakia into its territory after the war. In the Balkans, borders shifted once again. The state of the Bosniaks is fully integrated into the new Greater Serbia. Additionally, the Serbian vassal state is expanded with annexation of Slovenia and parts of Italy. Under pressure from other major powers, Serbia is also forced to cede parts of eastern Serbia to Bulgaria as compensation for the efforts made during the war. Bulgaria's territory is significantly expanded, including parts of Greece. Turkey received the promised territories from Greece, thus remaining a foothold in Europe. In Greece, a nationalist government has been installed, but is de facto dependent on Turkey. However, the victory of the Allegiance Pact is short-lived, as divergent interests and ambitions of its members led to tension within the pact, ultimately resulting in its collapse. From the ruins of the Allegiance Pact, many alliances emerged: a Central European alliance centered around Poland, Germany and Italy, an Eastern European alliance dominated by Russia, a Balkan alliance led by Serbia and Bulgaria, and lastly a Turkish alliance. These new alliances vie for influence and power in Europe, shaping the continent's geopolitical landscape for years to come. This was my episode of What If Nationalism Rose After the Cold War. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to give me any feedback or if you have questions, please comment down below. Next month a new episode will drop about if Russia won the First World War. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and see you soon. Bye.